Christian Science Bible Lesson for the week of January 22nd. Subject: Truth. Golden Text: John. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Responsive reading: John. After Jesus had finished speaking to his disciples, he looked up toward heaven and prayed, Father, the time has come for you to bring glory to your Son, in order that he may bring glory to you. When Jesus had finished praying, he and his disciples crossed the Kidron Valley and went into a garden. The Roman officer and his men, together with the temple police, arrested Jesus and tied him up. The high priest questioned Jesus about his followers and his teachings. But Jesus told him, I have spoken freely in front of everyone, and I have always taught in our synagogues and in the temple, where all of our people come together. I have said nothing in secret. It was early in the morning when Jesus was taken from Caiaphas to the building where the Roman governor stayed. Pilate came out and asked, What charges are you bringing against this man? They answered, He is a criminal. That's why we brought him to you. Pilate then went back inside. He called Jesus over and asked, Are you the king of the Jews? Jesus answered, My kingdom doesn't belong to this world. I was born into this world to tell about the truth, and everyone who belongs to the truth knows my voice. Pilate asked Jesus, What is truth? Section 1. Deuteronomy. I will publish the name of the Lord. Ascribe ye greatness unto our God. He is the rock. His work is perfect. For all his ways are judgment, a God of truth and without iniquity. Just and right is he. Psalms. God be merciful unto us and bless us, that thy way may be known upon earth, thy saving health among all nations. Lord, who shall abide in thy tabernacle? Who shall dwell in thy holy hill? He that walketh uprightly, and worketh righteousness, and speaketh the truth in his heart. Science and health. Truth, independent of doctrines and time-honored systems, knocks at the portal of humanity. The question, what is truth, is answered by demonstration, by healing both disease and sin, and this demonstration shows that Christian healing confers the most health and makes the best men. Mortals try to believe without understanding truth, yet God is truth. We must reverse our feeble flutterings, our efforts to find life and truth in matter, and rise above the testimony of the material senses, above the mortal to the immortal idea of God. These clearer, higher views inspire the godlike man to reach the absolute center and circumference of his being. God fashions all things after his likeness. Life is reflected in existence, truth and truthfulness, God and goodness, which impart their own peace and permanence. Section 2. Psalms. Blessed art thou, O Lord. I have chosen the way of truth. Thy judgments have I laid before me. Take not the word of truth utterly out of my mouth. I will speak of thy testimonies also before kings, and will not be ashamed. 1 Kings. Jehoshaphat, the king of Judea, came down to the king of Israel. And the king of Israel said unto his servants, Know ye that Ramoth of Gilead is ours, and we be still, and take it not out of the hand of the king of Syria? And he said unto Jehoshaphat, Wilt thou go with me to the battle of Ramoth Gilead? And Jehoshaphat said to the king of Israel, I am as thou art, my people as thy people, my horses as thy horses. And Jehoshaphat said unto the king of Israel, Inquire, I pray thee, at the word of the Lord today. Then the king of Israel gathered the prophets together, about 400 men, and said unto them, Shall I go against Ramoth of Gilead to battle, or shall I forbear? And they said, Go up, for the Lord shall deliver it into the hand of the king. And Jehoshaphat said, Is there not here a prophet of the Lord besides, that we might inquire of him? And the king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat, There is yet one man, Micaiah, the son of Imlah, by whom we may inquire of the Lord. But I hate him, for he doth not prophesy good concerning me, but evil. And Jehoshaphat said, Let not the king say so. Then the king of Israel called an officer and said, Hasten hither Micaiah, the son of Imlah. 2 Chronicles. And the messenger that went to Micaiah spake to him, saying, Behold, the words of the prophets declare good to the king, with one assent. Let thy word, therefore, I pray thee, be like one of theirs, and speak thou good. And Micaiah said, As the Lord liveth, even what my God saith, that will I speak. And when he was come to the king said unto him, Micaiah, shall we go to Ramoth Gilead to battle, or shall I forbear? And he said, Go ye up and prosper, and they shall be delivered into your hand. And the king said unto him, How many times shall I adjure thee that thou say nothing but the truth to me in the name of the Lord? Then he said, I did see all Israel scattered upon the mountains, as sheep that have no shepherd. And the Lord said, These have no master. Let them return therefore every man to his house in peace. And the king of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, Did I not tell thee that he would not prophesy good unto me, but evil? Then the king of Israel said, Take ye Micaiah, and carry him back to Ammon, the governor of the city, and to Joash the king's son, and say, Thus saith the king, Put this fellow in the prison, and feed him with bread of affliction, and with water of affliction, until I return in peace. And Micaiah said, If thou certainly return in peace, then hath not the Lord spoken by me. So the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat the king of Judea went up to Ramoth Gilead. And the king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat, I will disguise myself, and we will go to the battle. And a certain man drew a bow at a venture, and smote the king of Israel between the joints of the harness. And about the time of the sun going down he died. Psalms. Examine me, O Lord, and prove me. Try my reins and my heart. I have walked in thy truth. Science and health. Truth, God, is not the father of error. Honesty is spiritual power. Dishonesty is human weakness, which forfeits divine help. You uncover sin, not in order to injure, but in order to bless the corporeal man, and a right motive has its reward. You may know when first truth leads by the fewness and faithfulness of its followers. Thus it is that the march of time bears onward freedom's banner. The trials encountered by prophet, disciple, and apostle, of whom the world was not worthy, await in some form every pioneer of truth. There is too much animal courage in society and not sufficient moral courage. Christians must take up arms against error at home and abroad. They must grapple with sin in themselves and in others and continue this warfare until they have finished their course. If they keep the faith, they will have the crown of rejoicing. Christian experience teaches faith in the right and disbelief in the wrong. It bids us work the more earnestly in times of persecution, because then our labor is more needed. If you venture upon the quiet surface of error and are in sympathy with error, what is there to disturb the waters? What is there to strip off error's disguise? If you launch your bark upon the ever-agitated but healthful waters of truth, you will encounter storms. Your good will be evil spoken of. This is the cross. Take it up and bear it, for through it you win and wear the crown. Pilgrim on earth, thy home is heaven. Stranger, thou art the guest of God. Section 3. 2 John. Grace be with you, mercy and peace, from God the Father, and from the Lord Jesus Christ, the Son of the Father, in truth and in love. And this is love, that we walk after his commandments. Science and health. Throughout all generations, both before and after the Christian era, the Christ as a spiritual idea, the reflection of God, has come with some measure of power and grace to all prepared to receive Christ, truth. Grace and truth are potent beyond all other means and methods. Section 4. Psalms. I will sing of the mercies of the Lord forever. With my mouth will I make known thy faithfulness to all generations. Justice and judgment are the habitation of thy throne. Mercy and truth shall go before thy face. For the Lord is our defense. Lead me in thy truth and teach me, for thou art the God of my salvation. Matthew. And when Jesus was come into Peter's house, he saw his wife's mother laid and sick of a fever. And he touched her hand, and the fever left her, and she arose and ministered unto them. When the even was come, they brought unto him many that were possessed with devils, and he cast out the spirits with his word, and healed all that were sick. Science and health. Christ, truth, was demonstrated through Jesus to prove the power of spirit over the flesh, to show that truth is made manifest by its effects upon the human mind and body, healing sickness and destroying sin. Speak the truth to every form of error, tumors, ulcers, tubercles, inflammation, pain, deformed joints, our waking dream shadows, dark images of mortal thought, which flee before the light of truth. I here present to my readers an allegory illustrative of the law of divine mind and of the supposed laws of matter and hygiene, an allegory in which the plea of Christian Science heals the sick. Suppose a mental case to be on trial, as cases are tried in court. A man is charged with having committed liver complaint. The patient feels ill, ruminates, and the trial commences. Mortal minds, materia medica, anatomy, physiology, hypnotism, envy, greed, and ingratitude constitute the jury. The courtroom is filled with interested spectators, and Judge Medicine is on the bench. The evidence of the prosecution being called for, a witness testifies thus: I represent health laws. I was present on certain nights when the prisoner or patient watched with a sick friend. Although I have the superintendence of human affairs, I was personally abused on those occasions. At last he committed liver complaint, which I considered criminal, inasmuch as this offense is deemed punishable with death. Therefore I arrested mortal man in behalf of the state, namely the body, and cast him into prison. At the time of the arrest, the prisoner summoned physiology, materia medica, and hypnotism to prevent this punishment. The struggle on their part was long. Materia medical held out the longest, but at length all these assistants resigned to me. Health laws. and I succeeded in getting mortal man into close confinement until I should release him. The case is given to the jury. A brief consultation ensues, and the jury returns a verdict of guilty of liver complaint in the first degree. Judge Medicine then proceeds to pronounce the solemn sentence of death upon the prisoner. Ah, but Christ, truth, the spirit of life, and the friend of mortal man, can open wide those prison doors and set the captive free. Swift on the wings of divine love, there comes a dispatch. Delay the execution, the prisoner is not guilty. Consternation fills the prison yard. Some exclaim, "It is contrary to law and justice." Others say, "The law of Christ supersedes our laws. Let us follow Christ." After much debate, the opposition permission is obtained for the trial in the court of spirit, where Christian Science is allowed to appear as counsel for the unfortunate prisoner. The counsel's earnest, solemn eyes, kindling with hope and triumph, look upward. Then Christian Science turns suddenly to the Supreme Tribunal and opens the argument for the defense. The prisoner at the bar has been unjustly sentenced. Prior to the night of the arrest, the prisoner summoned two professed friends, Materia Medica and Physiology, to prevent his committing liver complaint, and thus save him from arrest. But they brought with them Fear, the sheriff, to precipitate the result, which they were called to prevent. It was Fear who handcuffed mortal man, and would now punish him. Man self-destroyed, the testimony of matter respected. Spirit not allowed a hearing, soul a criminal, though recommended to mercy. The helpless innocent body tortured. These are the terrible records of your court of error, and I ask the Supreme Court of Spirit to reverse this decision. I appeal to the just and equitable decisions of divine spirit to restore to mortal man the rights of which he has been deprived. Here the counsel for the defense closed, and the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, with benign and imposing presence, comprehending and defining all law and evidence, explained from his statute book, the Bible, that any so-called law which undertakes to punish aught but sin is null and void. The jury of spiritual senses agreed at once upon a verdict, and there resounded throughout the vast audience chamber of spirit the cry, "Not guilty." Then the prisoner rose up, regenerated, strong, free. We noticed, as he shook hands with the counsel, Christian Science, that all swallowness and debility had disappeared. His form was erect and commanding, his countenance beaming with health and happiness. Divine love had cast out fear. Mortal man, no longer sick and in prison, walked forth, his feet beautiful upon the mountains, as of one that bringeth good tidings. Section 5. Psalms. Teach me thy way, O Lord. I will walk in thy truth. Acts. And there sat a certain man at Lystra, impotent in his feet, being a cripple from his mother's womb, who never had walked. The same heard Paul speak, who steadfastly beholding him, and perceiving that he had faith to be healed, said with a loud voice, "Stand upright on thy feet." And he leaped and walked. And when the people saw what Paul had done, they lifted up their voices, saying in the speech of Laconia, "The gods are come down to us in likeness of men." And they called Barnabas Jupiter, and Paul Maricus, because he was the chief speaker. Which when the apostles Barnabas and Paul heard of, they rent their clothes, and ran in among the people, crying out, and saying, "Sirs, why do ye these things? We also are men of like passions with you, and preach unto you that ye should turn from these vanities unto the living God, which had made heaven and earth and the sea and all things that are therein. 2 John. Look to yourselves that we lose not those things which we have wrought, but that we receive a full reward. 3 John. I have no greater joy than to hear that my children walk in truth. Science and health. The question, what is truth, convulses the world. Many are ready to meet this inquiry with the assurance which comes of understanding, but more are blinded by their old illusions and try to give it pause. The efforts of error to answer this question by some ology are vain. Spiritual rationality and free thought accompany approaching science and cannot be put down. They will emancipate humanity and supplant unscientific means and so-called laws. Christianity is again demonstrating the life that is truth and the truth that is life by the apostolic work of casting out error and healing the sick. As there is in reality but one God, one mind, wrong notions about God must have originated in a false supposition, not in immortal truth, and they are fading out. Mind produces all action. If the action proceeds from truth, from immortal mind, there is harmony, but mortal mind is liable to any phase of belief. Whatever the belief is, if arguments are used to destroy it, the belief must be repudiated, and the negation must extend to the supposed disease and to whatever decides its type and symptoms. Truth is affirmative and confers harmony. All metaphysical logic is inspired by the simple rule of truth, which governs all reality. By the truthful arguments you employ, and especially by the spirit of truth and love which you entertain, you will heal the sick. Section 6. Psalms. I delight to do thy will, O my God. Yea, thy laws within my heart. I have preached righteousness in the great congregation. Let thy loving kindness and thy truth continually preserve me. John. And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Science and health. The best sermon ever preached is truth practiced and demonstrated by the destruction of sin, sickness, and death. In science, truth is divine, and the infinite God can have no unlikeness. Truth is always the victor. Truth makes man free.